Last season, the Doctor got put through the ringer. Having to battle an enemy so ancient, his people's earliest civilization led the charge against them in the Dark Times, and then later, finding out the Master, his oldest frenemy, had been resurrected by the Time Lords to fight Daleks, only to escape to the end of time and become human, and later go back to Earth in the present and take over the world, killing 1/10 of the population, torturing Martha and her family, torturing him physically and mentally, and utilizing future humans who had become similar to Cybermen, and that they were just mind-altered heads in floating metal spheres. Yep, the Doctor really had a bad weekend. And even though the paradox that those future humans caused was erased, and none of it actually happened, the Doctor, Martha, and her family knew that it did happen. And so the Doctor decided to travel alone for a while. Let's see if this season is a little better. First, the Doctor ends up as an unwitting stowaway aboard a spaceship from a distant world, modeled to look after the Titanic. And while at first the voyage does seem to be going swimmingly, he even meets a few colorful characters, including a married couple who won a trip on the Titanic in a contest, a serving girl named Astrid, and a small alien that kind of looks like a dragon fruit called Banacafalata. Unfortunately, things go south really fast. Someone has paid off the captain of the ship to let it get hit by meteorites. And not even a young midshipman named Alonzo is able to stop him. A lot of people are killed, including the captain. The money went to his family, so he doesn't mind dying. And then, to top it all off, someone has sabotaged the robotic helpers aboard the ship, who are dressed to look like angels, so that they assassinate nearly everyone, except for the Doctor and his small group, which includes the aforementioned Astrid, Banacafalata, and the married couple, not to mention a corporate fat cat and a Mr. Copper, who lacks the knowledge necessary to be a tour guide on Earth, but he tries. And before things go south, the Doctor even found out from a fella named Wilfred that London was abandoned for Christmas, seeing as the last couple of years have been rather dodgy. But after things go south, it's up to the Doctor and his merry band of misfits to try and get to the bridge and restore the ship's nuclear storm drive to prevent it from falling to the Earth and wiping out all life on the planet. And it's not easy. The married couple get killed, the man by accident, and the woman destroying one of the dangerous angel robots in the process. Banacafalata, who reveals that he was a cyborg, who hid that nature of himself because cyborgs were kind of prejudiced against, probably because of the Cybermen. He uses his power source to defeat some of the angel robots at the cost of his life. But he dies in Astrid's arms, comforted, and that she accepted him for who and what he was. And eventually, it's revealed that the owner of the company that built the Titanic he was a cyborg as well, but because there's still a lot of prejudice against them, his shareholders decided to vote him out. So he decided, if I can't have it, no one will. He sabotaged his own ship, and he plans to kill everyone on Earth in order for his former board to be arrested and the shares of his company made worthless. But before he can destroy the Doctor, in comes Astrid, using a quick teleport bracelet to get to where they are, and she uses a forklift whose brake cable is quickly damaged to knock the cyborg villain over the side of a railing and into the nuclear storm drive. Unfortunately, she is unable to prevent her own death, and the Doctor, deciding no more should die, manages to force his way onto the bridge, and with Alonzo's help, utilize the heat of re-entry to jumpstart the backup nuclear storm drive to keep the Titanic from crashing into Buckingham Palace. And with a wave and a thank you from the Queen, he gets the ship back into orbit. And he tries to rescue Astrid, who had a teleport bracelet on, and whose pattern should be kept in the buffer for safety's sake. Unfortunately, the system is, at the time, too damaged to save her completely, so the Doctor lets her atoms get scattered to the winds so she becomes stardust. Earlier, he had invited her along to be a companion, and the thwarting of that plan kind of hit him hard. So, Alonzo, the corporate guy, and Copper are the only surviving people aboard the Titanic, not counting the Doctor. And while it's annoying that the corporate guy, who was a jerk the whole time, survived, Cotton points out that if the Doctor could choose who lives and who dies, that would make him a monster. But the Doctor can do one nice thing. He takes Cotton back to Earth, mainly to retrieve the TARDIS, which was blasted out the side of a ship when the meteoroids hit, and it landed on Earth. And he tells Cotton that the credit card that he set up for trinkets, for people who like trinkets, is actually enough money to live on. So his dubious credentials as a tour director are rendered moot, and he can live out his days on Earth rather than in prison for falsified credentials. And with that, the Doctor moves on. And who should he meet along the way but Donna Noble? Turns out they're both investigating this company called Adipose, who says that their weight loss program is near infallible. The fat literally walks away. Turns out the fat is being controlled by aliens. The pills generate life, and the fat transforms from chunks of useless matter into sapient beings, little fat babies. And while the babies themselves are benign, the people running the program are ruthless. When Donna contacts one of the recipients of Adipose, who, upon starting to lose weight, decides that she's too good for the guy she's with, so she's going to dump him in a big When she witnesses some of her fat take life form, and the person responsible for the company decides to turn her whole body into fat babies, I can honestly say I don't shed a tear for her. Maybe if she hadn't been so callous about her unseen love interest, maybe it would have been more emotional. But honestly, I guess maybe she didn't deserve to die like that. But still, anyway. Eventually, the Doctor and Donna find each other. Took a while. But they find that the lady in charge of the company is actually an alien nanny, responsible for illegally seeding Earth with these adipose forms. And while 1 million people have been set up for breeding, she plans to kill them all by turning their whole bodies into fat babies, which leaves them somewhat ill. The babies, that is. And she doesn't care, even though what she's doing is highly illegal. Originally, she was just going to allow these people to lose weight. Instead, she's killing them because only 1 million people have taken the pills. But with a little help from Donna, who swiped a control device earlier and gives it to the Doctor to override the original alien signal, and confiscating the lady's sonic pen. Yeah, she's got a sonic device too. They're able to at least prevent the people from dying. But 10,000 adipose babies were created. But no more people died, thankfully. Then the mothership shows up to collect them all. But it's revealed that now that the babies are ready for their parents, Nanny is being fired, or should I say dropped. Several stories out of the air to go splat, so she can't testify against the parents of the adipose babies. Also, we find out that Wilfred from the previous episode is Donna's grandpa. And while originally he was supposed to show up at the wedding in the Runaway Bride episode, a different actor played him, and he was just written off as someone else. And Wilfred was laid up with the flu. Yeah, originally, the guy from the wedding episode, he was supposed to be the grandpa and was supposed to show up in this episode at the end, but while he did film some scenes, the actor tragically passed away. So they got legendary Doctor Who alum Bernard Cribbins, who got his start Doctor Who-wise in the second Doctor Who movie with Peter Cushing. And Wilfred's gone on to become a beloved character who will recently make his final appearance in the Jodie Whittaker era of Doctor Who. But that's for another time. So, with the day saved, mostly, the Doctor once again invites Donna to travel with him because while she did plan to go traveling on Earth, she really just made it as far as Egypt before it got a bit blah. Because traveling with the Doctor, seeing the universe, that was Well, that made going to Egypt look like going to Walmart across the street. So, after waving goodbye to Wilfred, the Doctor and Donna go off onto an adventure proper. And they end up in Rome, where earthquakes are happening. And there is a smoking mountain in the distance. Oops! They're in Pompeii. And tomorrow the volcano is going to erupt and invent the word volcano. While Donna is freaking out, thinking they've got to start evacuating the city, the Doctor realizes that they got to get the duck out of Fudge, because they can't be there when the volcano goes off. And they sadly can't save anyone because Pompeii is a fixed point in time. It happened. Trying to save anyone would cause a paradox. And we all know how dangerous that can be. That's why the Doctor doesn't evacuate Hiroshima or warn the people of the original Titanic what's going to happen, or go to 2001 and try to stop you-know-who. We also find out what happens when you try to speak the local language while the TARDIS is trying to translate for you. It makes the person you're speaking to hear the ancestral language you would have spoken centuries ago. In this case, Donna sounds like she's speaking Celtic, or in this case, Welsh. We also meet a stonemason named Caecilius and his family. His wife, who's rather fussy. His son, who likes to party. And his daughter, who seems to have a bit of a second sight and has been snapped up by a sisterhood of seer women. And she gets her visions by inhaling fumes from a naturally fed geothermal house heater that's built into the floor. Now, technically you really shouldn't inhale volcanic fumes, but apparently all it does is make her look like she's got the flu and give her visions. While the Doctor and Donna pretend to be the Spartacus siblings, the fumes have apparently caused the daughter to see the Doctor as a doctor and decipher Donna's real last name. And they meet a guy named Lucius, the town seer, who's kind of a pompous jerk, and who for some reason keeps his left arm, or not his left arm, his right arm covered. Also, he deduces that Donna's from London and the Doctor is from Gallifrey. And Lucius and the daughter sort of have a dueling soothsayer contest. And their readings get very, very, very accurate. Scarily accurate. And we find out why Lucius is there. To collect a stonework made by Caecilius that looks strangely like a circuit board, or at least part of one. And with help from Caecilius' son, the Doctor infiltrates Lucius' house and finds a nearly complete circuit board made of marble and gold. But that technology shouldn't exist yet. The Doctor can't figure out what it's for. Then, when he tricks Lucius into shaking his hand, he grabs Lucius's arm and breaks it off. It's been turned to stone. The guy looks like he's been going toe-to-toe against a Gorgon. And the freaky thing is, the daughter, her right arm is starting to petrify in the same manner. And what's more, Lucius seems to be in contact with creatures that are living just below Pompeii. Creatures made of stone and magma. The people think that the creatures are deities, but really they're aliens. And they nearly kill the doctor and Caecilius' family. Luckily, the doctor manages to throw some water on the beast and cause it to fall apart. Unfortunately, Donna gets kidnapped by the sisterhood that are recruiting the daughter, because earlier Donna mentioned to the daughter that Pompeii is going to blow its top, even though the daughter sees that nothing's going to happen in 24 hours. It seems the sisterhood don't like competition. But thankfully, before they sacrifice her, the doctor shows up and treats with the head seer lady, who has been nearly fully petrified. It's a painful process, but she considers it a worthy cause because she's got nearly perfect vision. And she sees an empire of Pompeii that will rival Rome itself. Luckily, the doctor can use his Time Lord abilities to force the alien presence within the woman to the surface. Turns out, thousands of years ago, a species called pyroviles escaped their homeworld as it was lost. Literally, taken from the sky. In a similar fashion to the adipose breeding world, actually. Strange. This is one of the times that a planet being lost is mentioned. But anyway, they crash landed on Earth thousands of years ago and were smashed into dust, and only recently have been able to recoalesce, using humans as framework. They're building a device that will help them transform all of Pompeii into pyroviles, and from there they'll take over the world, boiling away the oceans and burning the land. But they can't take the sky from me. Yes, I referenced Firefly. I had to. Anyway, the doctor realizes with horrific insight that the reason none of the soothsayers, despite having stronger abilities, can see that Pompeii is going to blow up, it's because the pyroviles are using power from Pompeii, or from Vesuvius, to power their device. And shutting it down would mean Vesuvius explodes and Pompeii burns. So, the Doctor and Donna retreat into the original pyrovile escape pod. The Doctor rewires it, and they do what needs to be done. They activate the device, Vesuvius blows its top, and all the soothsayers see the true future. And the Doctor is forced to leave everyone behind. Donna tries to get everyone to head to the hills instead of the beach in order to get them to safety. Even trying to rescue a kid, only his mom shows up and takes him away the wrong direction. Everyone's so panicked, they don't listen to Donna. So, with grim resolution, the Doctor leaves Caecilius and his family to their fates. But once Donna gets aboard the TARDIS, she begs for the doctor to save them. But he admits that he just can't save them. He can't go back and save them. He wants to, but he can't. It's just physically impossible. And at this point, he's not talking about Pompeii. But then she says, not the whole town. Just save someone. So he goes back for the Caecilius family. And the result is Caecilius uses the word volcano for the first time. The doctor reassures them that Pompeii will be remembered and rediscovered. And he and Donna get venerated as house deities by the Pompeian family, who set themselves up in Rome, and the son gives up his parting ways to become a doctor. And later, in a series of YouTube videos, this is referenced. And with that, the doctor and Donna head out once again. And so, now they decide to visit a place the doctor knows people from. We finally get to see the homeworld of the Ood, a place called Ood Sphere, which the doctor finds out is in the same system as Sense Sphere. Turns out the Ood and the Sensorites live in the same planetary system. But for some reason the Ood are the ones who get enslaved. But we find out that the Ood factory that is set up here, it's not at all perfect. Apparently something's turning the Ood rabid and giving them the ability to use their translator spheres as weapons. And the executives can't figure out why. So then the doctor and Donna infiltrate and eventually find out that the Ood are actually being lobotomized. Those translator spheres, those replace a second brain that allows them to be telepathically linked. So they got their primary brain and a second brain that they hold in their hands. But the doctor surmises there's got to be another influence, because a two-brained creature would be constantly at war with itself. Unfortunately, we find out how bad things are as the doctor and Donna see a line of Ood marching, and when one stumbles, the head guard cracks a whip, threatening to beat the poor creature. And what's worse, the guy is black. You would think, of all people to condemn any kind of slavery, it would be black folks, but there are plenty of them working as guards and as executives. But I guess in the 42nd century, which is where they are, they've forgotten all the lessons of the past. It's probably what happens when you try to erase history to make it more PC. But I digress. The doctor and Donna are found out, and the head guard turns out to be a real sadistic freak, because he locks Donna in a room full of semi-rabid ood who nearly try to kill her, and decides to use a crane to kill the doctor, like really going at it with the guy. It takes a PR executive to stop him. Although when something triggers all the ood to rise up as one, when the doctor asks the PR executive's help, she decides against doing anything constructive. And eventually pays for it because an ood catches her off guard and zaps her. Now, the ood aren't bulletproof, but there are so many, the guards are just not prepared to deal with them all. Heck, the sick freak who wanted to smash the doctor earlier, he gets killed off by being locked in a room with the gas that they were going to use on the seemingly small number of rabid ood. And eventually, the top executive who owns the company and who's suffering from hair loss and downing tonic like it's water for his hair loss, and is attended to by an ood named Sigma. He reveals that years ago, his family found the thing that keeps the ood from going crazy. A third brain, a gigantic brain the size of a car. And they've been containing it in a ring of energy so that it can only minimally influence the other ood, or the other organisms. But turns out Ood Sigma has been playing his master the whole time. The tonic was actually infused with ood biomatter, slowly transforming the guy into an ood, which was too good a punishment, I would say. He deserved the Dalek treatment. Instead, he got to live on as an ood. Meanwhile, the doctor stops him from blowing up the massive third brain and shuts down the machine, finally allowing the ood to sing a telepathic song. And earlier, it was surmised that the ood should never have been in a position of servitude. Their very nature, their second brains being in their hands, means they're peaceful. A creature like that would have to trust anyone it meets. And humans, never learning their lesson, betrayed that trust. But now that the ood can finally exist as they were meant to exist, they're all coming home. And the Dr. Donna get basically a reward. They'll be remembered by their ood children and their ood children's children. But then the doctor gets an ominous message. His song's coming to an end, as all songs should. But no time to decipher that little riddle, because Martha Jones is calling the doctor home. Because unfortunately, something is causing this environmentally friendly addition to modern cars a thing called Atmos to cause people to die. And no one can figure out how or why. But the source is clearly this whiz kid who's got his own think tank, a guy named Luke Radigan. Now, the last Radigan I remember seeing was an actual rat voiced by Vincent Price, and was trying to take over as Mouse King of England, way back in The Great Mouse Detective. So you can only imagine what this kid's going through, or planning. Turns out he's working with the Sontarans, and Atmos is not meant to clean anything. It's meant to collect and redistribute toxic fumes. Luckily, the Doctor and Donna have a little help dealing with this problem. See Martha? By now, she gets promoted to full doctor and is working with UNIT in a leader position. And now we hear that United Nations Intelligence Task Force has been properly renamed Unified Intelligence Task Force. But anyway, unfortunately, the Sontarans are already dug into the Atmos facility and start hypnotizing unit agents, and they even clone Martha to have her be the inside person. And once it's discovered that the Doctor is back on Earth working against them, they speed up their plans, and they start activating the Atmos systems to pump out toxins. And in part 1 of this adventure, they nearly kill Wilfred, because Donna made the mistake of checking in with her folks. And Wilfred had the misfortune to try to move one of the Atmos cars while it was on, and he got locked in. Luckily, his daughter, Donna's mom, has a handy dandy fireman's axe to break the window and get him out. So the Doctor starts to work against the Sontarans, insisting that UNIT do not use the nuclear option, because apparently nukes work as well as nukes did on Independence Day on the Sontaran ships, i.e. 0. Meanwhile, it's revealed that the Doctor knew Martha was a clone the whole time, and eventually frees her at the cost of the clone's life. But in her dying breath, she tells true Martha and the Doctor what the Sontarans are doing. Turns out there's nutrients in the toxic atmosphere. They're turning Earth into a breeding planet. And a planet this size can breed billions of Sontarans to fight the Rutons. Yeah, they're still going at it with those electric jellyfish. Meanwhile, Radigan, who's been working against the Doctor as well, he reveals to his think tank what his plans are. Excuse me. Talking is thirsty work. He's working with the Sontarans in order to get him and his people off-world so they can start anew. A crop of genius Adams and Eves. Because they're the outcasts, the ones who get picked on. And Basically, his strategy is move to a new planet and kill the previous one. Luckily, his think tank are not just blind followers, so they abandon him, even though he's got a gun. And when he teleports up to a Sontaran ship, they reveal that there was never any leaving Earth. They were just tools, and the Sontarans destroy tools when they're done. Luckily, he manages to get away before the Sontarans can shoot him. And sadly, that puts him over the edge. He is completely broken at this point. So the Doctor and Martha and Donna, who briefly ended up on the Sontaran ship and was able to sabotage a few things, but is now returned to Earth, they go to Ratigan's academy, and the Doctor whips up an atmospheric conversion device to burn away the toxins from the atmosphere before the levels reach deadly. And they're about to, because the Sontarans cranked up the system all the way. And it works, but with the atmosphere converted back to its normal self, the Sontarans decide to employ a scorched earth policy, literally scorching the planet. And luckily, the Doctor has a plan. He rejiggers the device to burn Sontaran atmosphere, which should be enough to destroy the spaceship in orbit and its fighter craft and take out all the Sontarans, but it looks like it's going to be a one-way trip. Because he's going to give them an ultimatum. Leave the Earth in peace, or stay in orbit in pieces. Unfortunately, the leader of the Sontarans is war crazy and calls his bluff. But Ratigan has realized all his life he's been picked on, and now aliens are picking on him. And he's probably going to go to jail for what he's done, so he may as well do something constructive. So he rewires the teleportation device in his house and teleports the Doctor away while teleporting himself into the Doctor's place. And he triggers the device himself, saving the world. So, with the day saved, Doctor bids farewell to Martha, as she has stuff to do on Earth. She's still part of UNIT. She's working to keep it honest, like it was back in the day. But unfortunately, someone or something has taken control of the TARDIS. The doors lock, the ship goes speeding off, and the Doctor has no clue what's going on. Unfortunately, the rest of this adventure will have to wait. This is Mr. J signing out and telling you to stay tuned for part 2 of Season 3 of Doctor Who's David Tennant era. See you then.